now we're on to the We Out Here segment. I'm sorry for squeaking. That's one of the things that I do over here. Apparently, I do not look the way that I sound, but y'all can't be perfect either. Now, I want to get into a question that we posed to you on the socials, which is what should be the right number of teams for the college football playoff? We're talking about this because news has surfaced that the college football playoff is looking to expand, or at least thinking about expanding to 12 teams. We'll talk about those here in a little bit, but that is the reason we're talking about it now. So in asking you to do this, I asked producer Kat to pull some of the answers that she thought were good. I haven't seen them, and I'm going to react to them. So producer Kat, what do you got first?
All right, this is from @Tacos and Therapy. I like 8 teams, champions of each Power 5 conference, 2 at large, and a group of 5 highest ranked.
I don't hate it because it is not 4. The problem that I see with it is that we are lifting up the autonomous 5 above everyone else, right? Now, making sure that the autonomous 5 each get a team in, that'd be the Power 5, I think is good, because I think they were stupid to put together a system in which one of them is always going to be left out. If they're the ones rigging this game, why don't you rig it for everybody? That just, it didn't feel like somebody had thought that through, notably Larry Scott. But I like the 3 at-large bids, right? Because I want to see a group of 5 team get an opportunity to run the table, and I think it will happen sooner rather than later. But the main reason I don't like it is because there are 10 conferences. There are 10 leagues. I think each one should have a representative in the playoff, right? And we could talk about what that looks like a little bit later on. But that's my reaction to that. I appreciate the comment, Tacos and Therapy. What you got, producer Kat?
All right, this next one is from @Cam Lotico. He wants 12. You get the Power 5 champions and then 7 more. So teams from other conferences would have a chance.
Cam, I think, is onto what we're going to see from the college football playoff committee, right? Which is to say, yeah, they're going to get their Power 5 in, and then they're going to figure out how they want to do the other 7. I don't like the 7 at-larges, though, because that means we're probably going to end up with 8 SEC teams. Like, it's just the way that it is, because we all acknowledge that today the SEC is the strongest conference in football, and there are 14 of those teams. And let's just go through the list, right? Who are you probably not going to see a whole bunch of? Vanderbilt, perhaps Kentucky, maybe Missouri, right? The Mississippi schools, depending on what happens in Arkansas, right? That's about it. Everybody else we'll see cycle through. And even Arkansas will be like, yo, RJ, when we had Bobby Petrino, we were rolling in like 2011. I know. And even Ole Miss and Mississippi State would be like, yo, we was right there not 10 years ago. And I'll say, I know. That is the reason why I think the at-large bids is a problem. My main issue with the at-larges and not making sure that those 10 teams from those 10 conferences are represented is I don't trust the people in suits sitting in a boardroom picking people to put on in a playoff. I don't want to see it either. I don't think we should have to see it. I think the kids should surprise us and should tell us who should play based entirely on this college football playoff selection committee called the scoreboard. Like, why can't the scoreboard be the arbiter of who wins and who loses? Because that's what you do in the playoff. You're saying I don't care that Notre Dame got shell-shocked by Clemson in the ACC title game. I only care that I think Notre Dame is better than Cincinnati. Like, what? Cincinnati didn't lose. Ask the teams that they lost to. That is my problem with this. I do not trust human beings to pick the best teams. It's why this sport has driven me crazy for my entire life. And when I go back and I look through the way that they decided national championships back in the day, I flip tables. Toledo goes 35-0. They're the USC of their time. They never finished higher than 7th in an AP poll because human beings can be idiots. Like, I just don't see it. They had one of the greatest college football players of his time in Chuck Ealy. Like, we literally get a marker there. The man didn't lose. And yet we're not even saying he played for a national championship. What America do you live in? I live in this one where you get an opportunity, where, equality is a thing. Hello? Why are we treating the WAC as if it doesn't matter? Well, that's FCS. Why are we treating the Mountain West as if it doesn't matter? Right? Why are we treating the American as if, oh yeah, prop it up to whatever SEC school that we think is good? No. I refuse to live in a world where I acknowledge 5,500 kids aren't good enough to play for the ultimate. I refuse to do it. Sorry for coming at you like that, Cam. It's not about you. It's about the 7 bids. So I apologize if you feel a little attacked. I did not mean to attack you. I meant to attack the 7 bids. Producer Cat, you can see I'm a little fiery about this stuff.
Really curious what you think about this one. So this is from @illogical3. 6. The top 2 seeds get a bye. Then the number 1 plays the lowest ranked team, while the number 2 plays the highest ranked team.
I'm sorry, is that 6? Get out of my face. Get out of 6. 6? Yo, man. Okay, so you're not even saying the Power 5 all get in and then we do a group of 5. You're just saying the top 6 teams. Again, all right, this is what I think we are dealing with. And I hear this from a number of national media members now that I am among them. We want to feel important. We want to feel as if we're deciding who should live and who should die. No. We are purveyors of the sport. We are observers of the sport. We are fans of the sport. I refuse to acknowledge an oligarchy that chooses who wins and who doesn't. I hate that so much. I hate it so much because I'm a group of 5 school. Okay? It's not just that I went to the University of Tulsa. It's deeper than that. I am here talking with you because I got lucky and I busted my behind. And when I got lucky, people acknowledge, hey, he's also busting his behind. Let's see if he can do this. And I got opportunities to succeed. I got opportunities to win. And I guarantee you, if I screwed up or do screw up any of those opportunities, somebody is going to come down on me and tell me that I'm a group of 5 school. I didn't come up traditionally. I didn't have 5 stars coming out of high school. I screwed up life. All right. I went to TU. I went to OU. I thought I was going to get a job in sports media. I got fired from that job in sports media. I went to Oklahoma State to try to pursue a PhD in English. I got on Step Mill and I started talking about my Sooners. That was 4 years ago. I can only imagine for you how it would feel for a kid at San Jose State, for a kid at Ball State, for a kid at Kent State to have a chance to win a national championship. And you're going to try to look at me and tell me he's not good enough or you expect him to get beat down. Let him. Give him that chance. 6 teams is not going to give him that chance. It's why I want a bigger bracket. I want something that gets everybody in that should be in. And then you can have your 6 at-large bids, and then you can have your seeding. I cannot get behind 6. I can't get behind 8. I can barely get behind 12. Like I told Joel that I would shut up if they got to 12, and now I'm kind of rethinking that even. Because you'll find a way to leave the Mountain West out, to leave the MAC out. You'll find a way to leave the American out. No. There is nothing wrong with playing football to decide who wins a national championship in football. My God, it is the only sport in which we do not have an actual playoff. We have selections. So, Producer Cat, do we want me to go on about my thing or we want to save it?
Let's hear a little.
Okay.
Let the people hear it.
So I want 16 teams in a playoff. Okay. I want 16 teams in a playoff because we start with, 16 teams make the playoff in the NBA. 16 teams make the playoff in Major League Baseball. 16 teams make the playoffs in the NHL, and 14 teams in 2021 are going to make the playoffs in the NFL, right? And since math is easy, that is 62 teams out of a possible 124 teams that make the playoff every single year in the North American sports. That is a floor of 43% of teams and a ceiling of 53% of teams, with a perfect average, I kid you not, of half those teams making the playoffs. Nobody's mad about it at all. I'm asking for 16 teams out of 130. All right? Just 16 out of 130. 16 is also, I think, a nice compromise because the FCS does 24. Right? And they got fewer teams than the 130 FBS teams. So the other part about this is, how does it work? Yes, I think if you have a conference, you play a conference title game, your conference champion should get an automatic bid to the playoff. Seeding, we can talk about. We'll let the suits and the oligarchy decide who they want to be where, right? I don't trust them to get that right, but I'll let it go because then they're in the playoff and they get an opportunity. And it'll be like, hey, this thing called the NCAA tournament, which is a months-long extravaganza with 64 teams in. And yeah, it took some years for a 16 to beat a 1, but it happened. And guess what? We all remember it. And it was a lot of fun. Like, that's the other part about this. The people caping against 16 hate fun. We should let everybody in. It's going to cheapen the regular season. All right, dog. Let me get you up to speed here. Let's talk about Nick Saban, Alabama. Nick Saban's won 7 national championships, 6 at Alabama since 2009. Let me read for you some of the teams that they played during the regular season since 2009. Chattanooga. I'm waiting. Oh, okay. Okay. Kent State. That Golden Flashes, they great. They awesome. Western Kentucky. Directional Kentucky. Directional Carolina. Western Carolina. New Mexico State. Shout out to my buddy Caden, who makes the joke that you could just skip out on New Mexico State because he's from New Mexico. Charleston Southern. What? Mercer and the Citadel. That's just since 2009. And oh, by the way, they have played Chattanooga and Western Carolina 3 times each since 2009. I refuse to let you lie to me and tell me you care about those games Alabama's playing. I refuse to do it. All right, RJ, you're going to make the season longer and you're going to get the kids in health, into further health, not trouble. Let's say they're susceptible to more injuries. You know what? You're right. Why don't you financially compensate them for the risk? Ta-da! But even before that, let's just say the NCAA made its bed in 2006 when they allowed for 12 regular season games because, yeah, they need the money. Okay. So what I'm proposing is adding 4 games onto that schedule, which gets us to 16. There are now 17 NFL regular season games. Hey, RG, those guys are pros. So are the kids in college. You just don't want to talk about them that way. All right. And if you ask a kid if he would like to play 4 more games of football, you know what they're going to say? Yes. Do you know why I know they're going to say yes? Because they opted in to playing during the plague year. They don't care. They're here to play football. They know the risk. Their families know the risk. I was having this conversation just yesterday. And it was, yo, man, my kid's playing football. Why is he playing football? Because we sacrificed everything for him to play football. Because he has sacrificed everything to play football. Yes, we were playing during the pandemic. We're going to take that risk. Well, you know that only the top 2% play in the NFL, and we expect to be among the 2%. We cannot operate any other way. We have to see this all the way out and then see what we have left. So there's that. And then there's also the NCAA adding us to 12 regular season games means that after 2006, the national champion had to play at least 14. And then when they went to the college football playoff, you got to play 15. So I'm essentially asking you to play 1 more game to win a national championship. Why are you trying to turn me into a crazy person? Because I swear to you, I am being rational. I don't understand why someone would be so irrational as to argue against the thing they claim to love, which is playing football. We're in the off season. It's June. This is the time when I make my money because guess what? I'm manufacturing stuff to talk about because we ain't got no football on. If we had more football on, guess what I would love to talk about? Football. I talk a ton about recruiting during the off season. And then come the season, people are like, yo, RJ, give me the recruiting news. No, we're playing football games now because that's what recruiting is about. It's about playing more football, man. Why are you arguing against more football? Who are you? I don't think you're a football fan. I really don't. I think you're a person that likes to talk about football. You know, it's kind of like the NBA people that only want to talk about free agency. They don't want to actually talk about the games because the games don't really matter to them. They're already talking about who's going to get traded to where and who's going to sign for a max contract at what. No. Do you care about the sport? Do you like watching dudes do stuff that you know you cannot do, or are you envious? Are you playing NCAA and doing the roster management thing? Yeah, I do it too because it's a lot of fun. But you know what I'm going to be doing on Saturdays, on Tuesdays, on Thursdays, on Fridays? I'm going to be the degenerate watching Kent State play Akron because I love football. And I love the dudes that play football. And I want the world for the 11,000 kids that play FBS football each and every year. I know it ain't going to work for them. I know because the system does not allow for it to work for them. But I'm going to do my damnedest to make sure they squeeze every ounce out of this experience because of what they have sacrificed to get it. Those are my kids. Those are my teams. This is my sport. And I love them so much. Why don't you? All right. That is going to do it for this episode of the number one ranked show. My thanks to producer Catherine Donnelly. She's awesome. Javion Duncan, our social manager, who is just cranking out these graphics, man, and they look amazing. Producer Chris Cheshire is awesome. I keep trying not to call him Cheshire Cat, but I did it anyway. Executive producer of the show is Kristen Scott and you. I'm having a ball. You can tell I'm passionate about this stuff. I really love what I do, and I'm grateful to have this team around it. We're doing so well. Like, we're getting this close to 100 ratings on Apple, and I really want to get to 100 ratings on Apple before media days. And then next week, get to have a really cool in-depth conversation with Matt Leinart. So be sure to tune in for that. All right, that is it for us. Deuces.